Welcome to today's episode of Confessions of a Cleaning Business Owner. And today we're going to be talking about who is your perfect client. Now, Diane, you've been doing the 5-day marketing challenge. So you've been working really hard on this with you've got 250 people in this challenge,
Yeah.
haven't you? So there's a lot going on. Is this a topic you've covered?
Yeah, so actually it's day one of the challenge is who is your ideal client? And we talk about what an ideal client looks like. And we actually get them to write it down. Some have even drawn pictures. They've given the ideal client a name. And it's things like, are they a long-term client? Do they always pay on time? Do you or your team love cleaning their house? Do they never quibble about the price? So, we've all just done price increases. Are they the one that goes, yeah, absolutely, you're worth it. They recommend you to others. Those sorts of clients they've really been focusing in on them. So yeah, that's day one of the challenge is who is your ideal client.
I did this. So I did the last challenge with you and I really broke it down. And my ideal client is actually, I break it down to what their job was. It literally was a doctor with 2 or 3 children. I described their house. I described where I'd find it. I looked at what their hobbies were. And it really helped me because once I identified sort of who this person was, and I went quite specific. So it was a busy mum who likes yoga, who's a bit health conscious, who tries to get to the gym when she can, who socializes, not much time. It was really helpful because then I could put my leaflets in exactly where she'd find it. She stood looking at the notice board at Brownies because her child was at Brownies and things like that. It really helped because it focuses your mind.
I think that is the key thing here is that once you know who that person is and if you really focus in like that, yeah, all your marketing messages speak to them. Whether that's the place that you go, whether it's like, okay, they love a particular gym, so you're going to make sure you've got your leaflets in that gym, or whether it's just the message is aimed at that busy mum who's taking the kids to Brownies and she's spending the weekends catching up. That's your messaging. There's no point having a corporate message if your target is busy mums with kids. So it's so important, and that's why it's day one. Because I could teach you all the marketing that you like, but if you don't know who you're going to send the marketing to, you'll be wasting your time.
Do you know who I market to? Myself. I always sell to myself. I'm like, what do I want? Who am I? Literally, that's what I've just described. Busy mum. That's me. So yeah, I find it easy to sell to myself generally, and hopefully I pick up some other customers along the way.
I agree. And I think a lot of us do that. And I think I probably said this before on a podcast. That's one of the reasons I started the business was I was a busy mum working long hours. And I thought there's other busy mums like me. And if my business can help them, then, and that was always been my messaging. And yeah, we have different ideal clients, but our core one is definitely busy working families.
Find is if you get someone who isn't sort of my avatar, if that makes sense, who isn't me. So, for example, I had someone earlier who was a gentleman who had a corporate job, didn't probably resonate with my particular marketing, but was like, yeah, I've seen you. That's exactly what I want, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, brilliant. Obviously, he's not who I'm marketing to if I'm marketing to me, but they're still going to pick up on it along the way anyway.
Definitely. And also one of the things that we discussed in the group was and actually because I've been giving away a prize every day, and the person that won the prize on Monday for the ideal client avatar, the reason I chose them, or the main reason I chose them, was because they had put down the buying triggers. So what is going to make that person buy from my business? I thought that's so clever. They were putting, what's going to make them buy from you? And I sort of was sharing an example with the DCBN, whereas if I'm talking to a cleaning business owner that is struggling to sell at the price that makes their business sustainable, I can say to them, look, we've got a solution for that at the DCBN. There's a training video on selling at the price you deserve. And actually, I'm going to share that on day 6 in the challenge, but they don't know about that yet, so don't tell them. But that's how you can sort of identify what's going to make somebody buy from you and then offer them the solution. And you can do that with your cleaning business.
So I'm probably going to ask you to give too much away here. Buying triggers? What do you mean by that? Because I'm probably sure I understand what you mean. Tell me what buying
You
trigger
might
is.
know them better as pain points.
Oh,
So yes, so it might be that you might ask some questions in your marketing, like, are you fed up of spending Sunday evening trying to catch up on the housework? Or actually, it's usually a Saturday morning thing, isn't it? Arguing with the kids or going to do the sports trips and things like that. Or it might be, are you a busy working mum, and when you do get home, you just want to spend time with the kids? So that would be sort of, a pain point that would then trigger them to buy from you because you understand and you offer them the solution.
do you know how to get it? The best way to get it, the most succinct. What would happen if you didn't get a cleaner?
Yeah.
And they'll just give you the pain point. And then, so what I normally do with it, you ask that quite early on. So why are you looking for a cleaner? And what is it that you need us for? And what would happen if you didn't get a cleaner, right? And you write it down. Then you go through the quote, blah, 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 blah. Then you sell them. This is the quote, blah, 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 blah. And what it's going to do, having taken your pain point, is solve X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, yes, that's what I need it to do. And
Yeah.
you've already
And they
had
told you the pain point in the first place. Yeah. And we do this. And in fact, there's actually a training video on this in terms of telephone sales skills. And, you know, the questions that you ask on that telephone call identify what pain and trigger points you're there to fix, don't they? Because, you know, you can say to them, you know, can I ask you a bit about the house and who lives there? And, you know, they tell you that they've got twin boys who are 5, they're pregnant with the next one due in 3 months, and they've got a dog, and they're also still working, they're not going on maternity leave for another 3 months, and they just need some help with the chaos. You've got massive triggers there that you can fix, haven't you? I completely get it. I'm a busy mum myself, but, you know, that's what our team are here for, is to help with that. Don't worry.
Do you know what happens a lot of the time though? So just to take your example, so I'm a busy mum of 2 with a baby on the way. And what they then say to you is, and you say, well, tell me more, what's the real problems? And they'll then go, right, the real problem is I just don't have time for the mopping. And that is where most people stop. If you want to be a good salesperson, you then go, and what's the impact of not being able to do mopping? And then they tell you, my kids are crawling around on the floor. I genuinely think they're getting ill. I feel like a terrible mum. I can't have people around my house. And that is the pain point. The pain point is not, I can't do the mopping, but most of us don't push it to the next level.
No, you're right. Yeah. And there's so many messages that you can have out there at different times of year, different times of clients, but it all fundamentally starts with that, who is your ideal client? And obviously that's sort of why we chose this as the topic for the podcast, is who is your perfect client? But I want to ask you, Louise, who's your worst client?
Oh, who's my worst client? So I did a quote today, right? And I think we must be on a worst client here. Now, I don't think he's going to go with us. So apparently I did a quote a few months ago, and he's come back to us and he said, you're really expensive, but I really want to go with you because I genuinely believe you can solve my problems. I was like, brilliant. I had no recollection of this quote, but anyway, so he goes, right, you're a bit expensive. I quoted him again, and he's very messy. He's a bit of a hoarder. There's lots going on. And he's like, I want you to solve all of that. And I'm like, oh, we're not set up to do that. We can't solve all those problems. We can do it as a one-off, but we can't consistently put stuff away in your house. We need you to do that. And then he was like, I want it cheaper. And I want it next week or 2. And I said, look, we've got the Easter holidays. All my staff have children. We've got Good Friday, so we're closed on Friday. There is no chance you're going to get a clean in the next 2 weeks. And he's like, well, I'll be really, really flexible, but what I need it a bit cheaper. I was like, do you understand? We are fully booked. I can't do the clean. He's like, I want you to move heaven and earth to get me in, and I want a discount. And in the end, I was like, can I be really honest? We are fully booked, right? Why? What is the incentive for me to give you a discount when I'm already telling you I can't do it? And I guess that to me as a client is just not going to be flexible. He won't let me do a proper quote. He wants a cheaper. He wants a time we can't do. I'll be honest, he's ticking every box on a client I don't want.
Yeah, no, I think that flexibility is interesting. Obviously, the cheapness is never going to work, is it? Especially, you know, when it's not that we want our clients to be grateful that we can actually provide a service to them. Of course we don't. However, if you want to be in my schedule, you pay my prices and you value my team and you treat us right. Otherwise, you're not in my schedule anymore. I think for us, our worst client is somebody who's inflexible, who won't give us a key and expects us to be there at 11 a.m. And if we're 5 minutes late, they're on the phone, or they're having a go at the team member who's 5 minutes late. And they're not late, of course, because we never promised them 11 a.m. So that kind of inflexibility is always a bit of a red flag for us.
So do you know what I do with that now? So we've had to be really specific. I can't deliver it. If you want it at 11 a.m. So the minimum we will do is a 3-hour gap to arrive within. It could vary. And I think if they're sort of pushing on that time at quote level, I'm really honest. I'm like, look, we cannot do it. And I've got to say, there's quite a few customers that would have paid our prices that we have lost at quote stage because I will not budge on promising that will come at a certain time. So we will lose that customer.
Yeah, we're the same. We have 3 time slots. We can do first visit, but obviously there's only so many first visits we can do. And that's between 9 and 9:30. Then we've got late morning. That's between 10 and 12. And then it's after 12. And that's as sort of flexible as we can be. But we had actually one recently that wanted us to go after 3 p.m. That's not going to happen because first of all, our team are out picking up their children at 3 p.m. anyway. But even if we could do 3 p.m., we'd need to send 2 people every time, otherwise they'd still be there at 6, 7 p.m. because it was actually quite a big house. And it was all around not giving us access and things like that. And I think that we don't often get trust issues, but I think that's probably where that had come from.
So can I tell you an issue that I've been having? It's dragged on for a month now. I can see how we could see this is my fault. But anyway, so a customer wanted a quote, right? It's my job to give quotes. And so he said, I work during the week. I said, I can do evenings. He said, no, I want the weekend. And I was like, I can't promise because in my weekend, things pop up with the kids. I forget to look at my schedule. I just don't book things for the weekend. So I said, well, I might be free about 4 o'clock on the Sunday, but I'll get back to you nearer the time. As it was, I completely forgot and I wasn't free. So I didn't do it. And then this went on. I offered him a couple of evening slots. I managed to speak to him at 7 o'clock. He said, I'll call you back later. I'm putting my kids to bed. I was like, fine. He didn't call me back. Anyway, after 2.5 weeks of trying to arrange a quote, he sent in a complaint about me and how it wasn't good enough that if we serve people that work during the working week, why are we not capable of doing quotes outside of the working week? And so I had to sit down in a meeting and justify it. And I was like, without being rude, I'm not scheduling to work the weekends. And I said, I can see this as a major pinch point in our company, but unless someone else is going to provide these quotes, I am not routinely scheduling in slots on my weekends. I said, I've offered him evenings and he won't or can't do them, whatever his problem is. And I guess for me, when we talk about inflexibility, I can see that this is a problem. Like, what would you do in your business if somebody could only do quotes at weekends? Would you do it?
No, they just wouldn't get a quote. We don't work weekends. And, we're not a 24/7 emergency service. And generally, actually, if you want a plumber to come to your house and do a quote, he might come in an evening, just like we probably would, but he probably won't come at the weekend either and also I think our whole ethos is our team have a quality of life outside of work. We have a quality of life outside of work and we give that to our customers as well. So why would we then go back on all of that and go, well, yeah, we'll give up our weekends to do a quote for Mr. Random Stranger who we've not met yet, just because he can't be flexible.
Not want way, like, why do we need this? But yes, it was the fact he's saying in a complaint I had to sit in a management meeting and go no, and they were like, well, can't you do it as a one-off? And I was like, I could, but I keep failing every time I try it anyway. And it's not like I won't try, but yes, inflexibility. Anyway, let's go back to marketing because that's what today is all about. We've got a video in the DCBN library and I recommend everyone. So this is my top 3 of all of our videos, but we're going to do top 3 of all the training videos in the marketing. But this actually is the one that I recommend to everyone. If you're going to watch 3 of our videos, the free and low cost marketing ideas. Love it. I've got to say, I can't remember if I've watched it or recorded it 3 times. I don't know. You present a lot of this. So I've put this in our 0 to 50K program. This is on the introductory one, and it's somewhere else as well. I can't remember where. We've done that many different programs in the DCBN, and we've done it free, and we've done this one live. This one's just groundbreaking because it's got 50 different ideas. It covers every possible marketing opportunity. And every time I watch this, I come up with a new one. I'm like, oh, kicking myself. Why am I not doing that? Why am I not? It's so good.
And the focus is very much, things that just cost you time, sometimes a little bit of money, but it's mostly just time and effort. And there's so many ideas in there that everybody can pick at least sort of 3 to half a dozen to implement pretty much straight away. They're quite easy to implement, and we're covering quite a few of them in the challenge. And interestingly enough, because day 2 was yesterday in the challenge, and day 2 is called low hanging fruit, and it's about sort of making the most of some of the resources you already have. So either asking for referrals from current customers, so your current ideal clients, asking them for recommendations to other ideal clients, or maybe contacting people that you've quoted for in the past who turned you down but might actually be looking again, and you've never got back to them. Because actually, if you ask cleaning business owners how many quotes that they did last year that they've ever gone back to, most people would say 0 to 10% of them. So doing things like that, and actually we've had some really big results in the group from that. And in fact, just this morning, somebody said, I have literally just had somebody come back. I'd sent them a WhatsApp message because that's how they'd originally communicated. Said, when we gave you the quote originally, we didn't have any availability, but just to let you know, we've got some space coming up if you're still looking. And they were like, absolutely, we are. So they've arranged to go back and re-quote that one, and it's looking really positive. There's a gold mine sitting sometimes in people's businesses that we are neglecting. You know, I've been in business a long time, but even if you've only been in business a few years, you've probably been out and met people, spoken to people, made all those contacts. And if you could gather them all together, there could be some gems in there. And that's basically free marketing.
Do you know what I find the problem is when I'm working with cleaning business owners? You've pointed out the solution there, gather them all together and contact them. The issue is that most people don't gather them all together. They haven't got, like, you can think of it as a database. You could use an Excel file, you could use whatever you wanted. But if I asked you, Diane, to go back to all your inquiries 2 years ago, you probably could. I know I could. I can pull up exactly what I had 2 years ago, and I have them in databases. But I don't think most people could, because they are contacted on Facebook, on Messenger, on WhatsApp, and you just lose track of everything. And unless you are going, actually, let's put this in a spreadsheet of some kind, you lose it.
Absolutely. And one of the people that everybody's commenting on what they're doing that day as part of the challenge, and so this, we're giving away prizes. And somebody had said, I'm going to go through my Facebook Messenger and I'm going to troll through it all and then turn it into a database of inquiries, because she said, I've messaged and spoken to so many people, and I'm going to put it into it, and then I'm going to contact them and start measuring it. And this is key because, yeah, I would say probably, you know, I don't know what the percentage might be, but it's going to be a big proportion of cleaning business owners have no database other than perhaps their current customers. So yeah, absolutely. Start gathering that data now, because it will be there. You will have messages, you will have emails, you will have phone calls that you might have logged. You just maybe haven't got them all in one place yet. But if you start doing it, you're then gathering all that old information, and then you can start using it. And from now onwards, of course, you can start gathering it as a matter of course. Every time an inquiry comes in, put it in your spreadsheet or whatever you're using to record these things.
I knew you were saying that people getting real success with DocFlight. Does that work as a database as well as a way of contacting?
So yeah, DocFlight has a couple of options, and it can send to all. It can do like a bulk send. So you can use DocFlight to send out price increase letters, for example, or you can upload your database and you can send out a bulk send out of promotional material to people that have contacted you previously. So it's very adaptable to what you want it to do. It's basically, DocFlight is a paperwork management system, but it means that you can use it to send anything you like, and you can track it, and you can sort of monitor responses, have people opened it and that sort of thing. And of course, if you're actually sending out contracts, they can sign it through DocFlight as well.
So what I think would be really, really good, and again, I should do this, but again, we're so booked most of the time I don't. But if I was looking for customers, to have that database and then just have a standard templated email scheduled, if you were to write 12 of those and one goes out once a month, you know, or even more often if you wanted to, just as like a little newsletter, because everyone that's contacted you has looked for a cleaner at some point. And the reality is, some of them have contacted you, but they've contacted 10 others, gone with someone else, and they don't want to go through that search again because that person didn't work out. By you dropping a message saying you contacted us a month ago, by the way, if you're looking for a cleaner, this is what we've got going on in our business at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in, you've attracted them once and you attracted them for a reason. Now, it might be, you know, that they want to pay £12 an hour and you're £30 an hour. There might be that there's nowhere to meet in the middle. But there will be some absolute gems in there that just fell through the cracks for whatever reason, or they decided to go with a cheaper service and are regretting it, you know, or whatever reason it is, or they maybe just got busy and never even booked a cleaner in the end. They just kind of carried on carrying on and are still fed up of it. So there's lots of reasons, but it's such an easy way to reach out to people, whether it's through DocFlight or through a text message or however you do it. But it's an easy sort of hands-free way, if you like, of reaching out to people. So why not do it? Because it costs you absolutely nothing to other than a bit of time to send these things out.
You know what? Just on a slightly different topic. So I'm looking for a builder at the moment for a small job. Small. It's not that small. And it's similar to looking for a cleaner. I sat there and admittedly I did it about 2 a.m. and I went through on my local Facebook group. There was loads of builders recommended and I must have contacted about 13. Do you know how many have come for a quote? I've had 2 quotes. One guy was going to, but his van broke down. Oh, and he forgot to tell me because he must have been way too late when it broke because I spoke to him 3 hours previously. But I mean, I've had quite a few excuses. Very similar to looking for a cleaner, to be really honest. And my husband wants me to get at least sort of 3 or 4 quotes. And I'm going, oh my God, the work to go and get more quotes is ridiculous. So I'm like, can't we just pick from one of the 2?
We used to have that when with the letting agency, when a landlord would say, I need you to get 3 quotes for that work. And I'm like, I'll be lucky if I can get 2.
If I can get you someone that'll do it, can we go with
especially if it's a small job? It's like they won't even quote if it's a small job. It's like they'll tell you how much it is and that's it. They're not going to come out and look at it. So yeah, it's, I suppose as consumers, we've had to realise that trades are in demand and cleaning is no different. So our consumers, so our customers are realising that too. So yeah, I mean, I know certainly we've spoken to a lot of people over the years who said, you are the only company that has called me back.
Yes.
I mean, have you heard that? I have lots
all the time. And what I find quite interesting when I speak to cleaning business owners, they're like, there's so much competition. And if I look on my Facebook group, I mean, someone just has to say they want a cleaner. Within 2 hours, they must have at least 80 different cleaners recommended. And yet they still will come to us and go, you're the only one I've managed to speak to. And I just think, in terms of marketing, sometimes it's not even that you need to market a lot. You just need to contact these people, just get them through the door.
Yeah. And actually in the build up to the challenge, we always open the challenge group a couple of weeks before the challenge starts. And in the build up, I usually post things to sort of either, ask questions or to give people tips and ideas before the challenge starts. And one of the questions I ask is, are there any bottlenecks in your business that you need to fix before the challenge starts so that when you do generate these leads, you can make the most of them? And there were some quite interesting conversations in there. Although one of the things was, can we have a recruitment challenge as well, which I will be running in May. And we were originally going to run the recruitment one first, but we decided to swap them round and do the marketing one first. Yeah, bottlenecks and not answering the phone, not returning calls. You're just wasting those leads. Even if you just ring them to tell them that you're fully booked, that's good business because that's your reputation locally, isn't it?
Do you know, some people go with us because we have a base locally, we have a landline, and people will answer it. But we get loads of complaints. We're not open on a Monday. I tried to contact you yesterday and no one got back to me because we're not open. But honestly, they get really cross. So I can only imagine what it's like for other people.
And the thing is that also, I think that sometimes, a lot of us have, telephone aversion, people that we don't want to call people. And if you've left it 3 days before calling that person, it's awkward. And then it just thinks, well, I just won't ring them at all then. And, I'm sure a lot of people have gone through that as well. But when it comes to selling, if you don't pick up the phone, you will not convert them quite as easily. And a lot of people try and sell over messages and things like that. And I am a big believer in people buy from you because they like you and they trust you and you reassure them and you find those pain points and you solve them. That's really hard to do in a Facebook message.
Which brings us nicely onto, we were talking about the top 3 videos for marketing the DCBM. Handling objections, which is pretty much what you covered there, and pain points. That's one you voted as number 3. You voted. We haven't done number 2 yet. Number 3, handling objections.
I like that one because because we do all our selling on the phone now, we get to handle the objections with the client. And I always say to people, if the first question on the call is usually, I'm looking for a cleaning service, can you tell me how much you charge? If I said £30 an hour, that would be the end of most conversations. So I have to guide them through a conversation in order to earn the right to charge them £30 an hour, if that makes sense. But when I do then tell them the price, I want to ask what they feel about it. I want to know. I don't want them to go, okay, thank you very much. I'll having fallen off their chair, I'll have a think about it and I'll get back to you, because I know they're not going to get back to me. So I will always ask the question, how does that fit with what you had in mind? And it gives them the opportunity to say it's too expensive. And then I can talk about that. Okay, so what budget did you have in mind? And we can then have a proper conversation. Whereas if I let them handle the objection without me, they'll just decide on price and nothing else, whereas we can talk about it. I like to talk about objections.
Do, but when, again, I sound like a terrible salesperson when I do this. When you're fully booked and you've got a stressful day and somebody's phoned up and you're given the price and they're like, oh my goodness, absolutely no. And there's a part of me that knows the right thing to do is to say, what was it you had in mind? And there's a part of me that goes, okay, thank you very much, bye-bye. And I'm like, oh, Louise, you're so bad.
Yeah, and I think that is a bit of a trap to get into when we're fully booked and we're stressed and we're busy or whatever else is going on. But if you want to build that gold mine, then actually they could be going into your database of somebody you might go back to later. So if you practice your handling objection with them and it goes okay, but they still didn't choose you, they haven't only made the decision on price, so they're worthy of going back to in 6 months' time when they've realized actually maybe you weren't quite so expensive after all because you're the best service around.
But you know what I find? So if I do actually talk to them correctly and I say, and we talk about it and we talk about price and I explain why we're more expensive, what I generally find is they'll go with someone else or maybe one or two, and then they come back to us. But you've taken that time, and it only takes a few minutes, 5 minutes to have that conversation. But then they'll come back. If you don't have that conversation, they're never going to go back because all they heard was the price. And so it can make a really big difference long term that you've just provided that little bit extra service. And that's deep down, that's what they want when 2 or 3 others have let them down.
Yeah, I agree. And, and I said it, when we're fully booked, we often will ignore phone calls, not return calls. And it's like, if you all only return the call, or even you can actually do this via a message as well. So if they've emailed or something, I'm really sorry, we're fully booked at the moment, but, I'll take your details and if we've got availability. I would prefer to actually do the whole quote. So we would do the quote over the phone anyway, even though we know we're fully booked when we're doing the quote. And at the end of it, say, okay, so we haven't got any availability at the moment, but would you like to go onto our waiting list? And we'll be in touch in a few weeks when we've got some availability. So we've given really good customer service. We've built rapport. They already want our service. And first of all, a lot of them will wait for us. But even if they don't wait for us, they're left with a really good impression of how professional our business is. And the reality is, the person that they've gone with because we weren't available might not have been as professional and not left quite such a good impression. So again, when we're talking about those low-hanging fruit and going back to people that we've spoken to previously, we've left the right impression in order to earn the right to go back to them. And it does work. Like I said, people are already getting new leads and re-quotes, so it does work.
The other thing is that I think is quite interesting. So you and I are talking about being fully booked. Now, the major benefit of that is not that we are fully booked. That obviously makes life easier and you can schedule things. What it means is that you can put your prices up because if you've long-term been fully booked over the years, you go, well, I'm going to put my prices up because actually I can drop a few people off. It doesn't matter. And it gives you that flexibility and confidence in yourself to go, I can take a few more risks with my business. I can risk it. But our other video, how to get found on Google. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of people that aren't fully booked and they're struggling. They're struggling to get customers. And for me, if I'm honest, most of my business comes from word of mouth, but that doesn't is from Google. Lots of people, especially when they start up, they invest a fair bit of money in getting a website. Maybe it can be £400 or £500, some more. And they get their website, they spend a lot of time putting the content on, getting the pictures. It's quite an investment of time and money. And then they go, I don't know why I bothered. It's not generating anything for me. It's failing miserably. And yet you and I are sat there going, this is my best performing marketing strategy. And this is where the video comes in, how to get found on Google. Having a website is not enough. It doesn't work. Websites on their own don't work. What happens and what you need is the next steps, the search engine optimization, the where you're logged, where you're found, that Google actually knows you exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was, I mean, I remember watching the video because I didn't take part in this one. You did it with Joe from Digital, didn't you? And I sort of sat and watched it and I was just like, oh, okay. I think I wrote down about 12 things and I thought I was really good at marketing. I wrote a book about marketing, but there were still some things in there that I could tweak and some things in there that maybe I'd done before but was not doing. And I think that's often with anything in business, to be honest. We can try things and they work and then we can stop doing them. So there's always new things to learn. But for anybody that simply has a website and has not really done much with it other than that, you are missing out on an absolute goldmine of leads. Because if we're talking perfect clients, for me, the perfect ones come via a Google search, because they're the serious ones. They're the ones that are not the price shoppers in the same way as they might be on social media. And they are just the best quality clients for my business, certainly. Getting found on Google is an absolute essential one. And yeah, we've got a whole video on it in the training library. So yeah, our members benefit from that.
Yeah, it's really good. I think for me, this is the most important thing. But that being said, this is where I spend my money. So as a business, if
Yeah.
I'm going to invest in any marketing, I've done leaflets in the past. I'm not doing leaflets. I'm not doing all these things, because pound for pound, I get more back from Google. So I think it's always quite interesting, because when you launch, for example, you launch your business on Google, you've then suddenly got to look in your area. And I know in my area, we have a lot, the big franchises are all in my area. Like I've got a lot of competition. You often feel like a bit of a failure when you start with this one, because it's very competitive and they are spending big budgets on this. And I'm hitting it with like zero budget. And you're going, oh my goodness. Like I now do spend a budget on this, I've got to say, but you can really do well by being real, getting reviews, and yeah, but it does take a bit more money.
Yeah, and you're right. That's the one marketing strategy. Apart from we actually do flyering, because it works really well for us if we target it. But yeah, it's the one strategy that we will pay for online, whereas we don't pay for any social media marketing adverts as such. But Google AdWords is what we use, and it works really well.
You do AdWords. I don't do AdWords.
Yeah.
It's not to say it wouldn't work, and we have done it in the past. I spend my money. I'll get an SEO company to work for 6, 8 months on it, and we'll have continuous SEO work done for 8 months. And then I normally stop for 2 or 3 years. And then it's not cheap having SEO done work. We're talking thousands here. So I'll spend a few thousand doing it, because I know it'll just keep performing for the next few years. And so
Yeah.
pound for pound, I get more back for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously the quality of the website matters, but actually getting it seen, I think actually matters more.
Right. Diane, we've covered a lot there. We've
Yeah.
covered a lot of marketing tips and tricks, and I hope that people listening will take quite a bit of that, lots of little snippets of ideas of what might work for you. And if you're not doing some of these, go out and do it. If you need more support and more help, come join the DCBM. We have training on all of them, but you also get one-on-one calls with us to kind of give you a nudge, tell you where to go, and solve the little tricky bits along the way.
Yeah. And who knows, you could be our ideal client.
Yes. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.